The sun was sinking behind the dusty hills of Red Creek, Texas, when Jack Mason rode into town after spending 3 lonely days checking fences on his ranch. At ACE 38, Jack was known as a quiet cowboy who preferred horses to people. That afternoon, he stopped at the town auction hoping to buy a strong mare. Instead, something unexpected caught his attention. A tall young woman stood beside the wooden platform, her hands tightly folded and her eyes fixed on the ground. Several men laughed and whispered about her height, calling her difficult and unwanted. Jack frowned, wondering why everyone treated her so cruelly. The auctioneer eventually stepped forward and announced that the woman, Clara Bennett, needed a place to stay and work. She had recently lost her parents and had nowhere to go. Nobody wanted to take responsibility for her because she was unusually tall, strong-willed, and unwilling to accept disrespect. The auctioneer jokingly said, "Maybe somebody will pay $2 for her." Laughter spread across the crowd. Clara's cheeks burned with humiliation, but she refused to cry. She had already learned that tears only encouraged cruel people. Jack watched silently from the back, feeling something inside him change as he saw her courage. When nobody offered anything, Jack walked toward the platform. The crowd became strangely quiet. He reached into his pocket, pulled out 2 worn dollar bills, and placed them in the auctioneer's hand. "I'll take her," he said calmly. Clara immediately looked at him with suspicion. "I'm not property," she warned. Jack nodded. "I know." He pointed toward his horse and added, $2 gets you a ride to my ranch, a job, and a chance to start over. Nothing more." Clara studied his face, searching for hidden intentions. Finding none, she finally picked up her small suitcase and followed him. The journey to Jack's ranch was mostly silent. Clara rode beside him beneath a wide Texas sky while dry grass moved like waves in the evening wind. After several miles, she finally asked why he had helped her. Jack stared ahead. "Because everyone deserves somebody willing to stand up when a crowd decides they're worthless." Clara noticed sadness in his voice but didn't ask further. When they reached the ranch, she saw an old farmhouse, several horses and empty rooms covered in dust. Jack showed her a small bedroom and told her she could stay there. For the first time in months, Clara slept without fear. The next morning, Clara woke before sunrise and began cleaning the neglected kitchen. Jack was surprised when he entered and found breakfast waiting. "You didn't have to do that," he said. Clara shrugged. "Neither did you." That answer made him smile. Over the following days, Clara worked harder than anyone Jack had ever hired. She repaired fences, cared for horses, and brought life back to the quiet ranch. Yet Jack noticed she rarely spoke about herself. One evening, while they watched the sunset from the porch, Clara finally admitted that being unwanted had made her believe she was impossible to love. Jack quietly replied, "Maybe you just haven't found your people yet." Weeks passed, and the ranch began to feel different. Clara had repaired the broken garden fence, planted vegetables behind the house, and taught herself how to ride Jack's strongest horse. Jack noticed that laughter had returned to places that had been silent for years. One evening, while repairing a saddle, Clara asked about the framed photograph above the fireplace. Jack became quiet. It showed a woman and a little girl smiling beside a Christmas tree. He finally explained that they had been his wife and daughter, who had died in a highway accident 6 years earlier. Since then, he had lived alone, believing happiness belonged to his past. Clara did not try to comfort him with empty words. She simply sat beside him and listened. Jack realized that was exactly what he needed. From that night onward, they became closer. Clara helped him understand that grief did not mean he had to stop living, while Jack taught her that being abandoned did not mean she was unwanted. Their friendship slowly became something neither dared to name. Then, one cold morning, they heard a strange noise coming from the barn. Jack grabbed his lantern and went outside. Behind a stack of hay, he discovered a frightened little boy wrapped in an old blanket, barely awake and desperately hungry. The boy's name was Sam, and he had been traveling with his older brother until they were separated during a train journey. He had walked for days, searching for somewhere safe. Clara immediately brought him inside and prepared warm food. Jack wanted to contact the sheriff, but something about the child's frightened eyes stopped him. Sam reminded Jack painfully of his daughter at the same age. Instead of sending him away, Jack promised that the boy could stay until his family was found. Clara watched Jack carefully and saw something she had never seen before, hope returning to his eyes. Days became weeks, but nobody came searching for Sam. The sheriff discovered that his brother had disappeared during a flood and was presumed dead. Sam had no surviving relatives nearby. Jack and Clara decided to become his guardians. The decision changed everything. Sam began calling Clara Miss Clara and Jack Pa without realizing how deeply those words touched them. The ranch, once empty and lonely, became filled with laughter, muddy, boots, school books, and warm meals. Jack eventually realized that he no longer woke up thinking about what he had lost. He woke up grateful for what stood beside him. One evening, Jack took Clara to the same hill where he had first realized how much she mattered to him. He handed her a small wooden box containing the $2 he had paid at the auction. "I kept them," he said. "They remind me that the best things in life sometimes begin with something that looks worthless." Clara smiled through tears and told him those $2 had not bought her. They had bought Jack a second chance, too. Jack took her hand, and together they watched Sam playing below. The lonely cowboy finally understood that he had not rescued Clara. Clara had helped rescue him, and together they had built the family they thought they had lost forever.